Gardening season is really getting real now. Long story short, March is a weird gardening month for us because our last average frost date is around the 15th of March. So that puts us in a weird gardening because some of the stuff has to be planted, or doesn't have to be, but should be planted before that last average frost date, and some of it gets planted afterwards. So it's sort of like splitting it into two different sections in the month of March of gardening. But we're going to be doing both those sections in this video. Currently, it's March 9th. It's the 10th. And we checked the forecast, and there doesn't seem to be any frost in the next 10 days. So we're going to go ahead and just put everything out that needs to go out. Everything from March. Now, what's behind me right here is just most of the transplants. This is not all the transplants, and we don't have any of the seeds out here yet. So we're going to be doing a lot of stuff by seed, a lot of stuff by transplant. What I have behind me is mostly peppers, lettuce, tomatoes. There's some cabbage and eggplants back there. So come along with us and stay tuned as we plant all this stuff.
We're going to show you how to do potato towers today. Well,
mini potato
towers because we ran out of the taller fencing.
It's 20-inch chicken wire, so it should be tall enough to do potatoes in, but it'll be more like a fence garden bed and less like a tower. But it's still going to be a no-dig method, so that's good. And potatoes are a great crop to grow in your garden. They're easy to get your hands on, especially if you sprout them yourself. And they're a high-calorie crop. So if you're going for self-sufficiency, this is one of the crops that you should be growing. Let's get started.
Hello. We seen another YouTuber measure hers out like this. She just grabbed one end, stretched her arm like this, grabbed the other end. So we're going to cut somewhere right around here. And you want to leave your little wires on the end there because we're going to, so you cut it on this side, not this side. Because we're going to use these to wrap around the other side, which I'll show you in a minute. We're going to put that on the cardboard. We're going to take some hay, put it in the bottom. Yep. And then what we're going to do is we're going to make a little opening here. We're going to do a layer of soil on top of this. We got our layer of soil. We're going to put our potatoes. We're going to leave a little space here because we're going to put hay.
And you want to put your potatoes cut side down.
Yep.
Eyes up.
Eyes up. Yep. We put about maybe 5 or 6 in there. And then we're going to put another layer of soil. And we're going to try and mound that up in the middle here a little bit. Put a mound there. Now we're going to do another layer of soil.
Well, the first thing we're going to do is, this is a little elderberry plant here, and it can't really grow here. This isn't a good spot for it. I'm assuming it came from this elderberry bush over here. Just seems to sprout up. There's a couple of them. We're going to go ahead and dig these up so that we can move them. So as you can see, these were still attached to the mother plants, but they do have roots, and this works. So if you see an elderberry coming up away from your plant, but it's still attached to the plant, you can just cut it. I dug it up to the mother plant, and then I cut it. And as you can see, they have plenty of roots on there to get themselves started. I've done this before. It works really well. So Josh was digging a couple holes now so we can plant these. They're not going to be far from the mother plants, but far enough that they won't compete with each other. What we're going to do is we're going to plant lettuce all the way in there, spaced appropriately. And then we're going to put 2 tomato plants in the front So this will be facing south to help shade the lettuce, and hopefully we can get a longer harvest that way. It's day 3 of March planting. Day 1 we didn't get very far. I did show some of it on camera, but we didn't get crazy far, mostly because we were just making sure everything where we had planned to put it was going to work. So it was mostly about just figuring out logistics and stuff, and we had to pull back mulch. So we didn't get quite as much planted as we were hoping, but it's fine. We got a lot of stuff done on day 2, and I'm going to show you what we got done before we start day 3. Here we have bell peppers, lots and lots of bell peppers. Actually, there is some cayenne peppers in here. And I do have more cayenne, Anaheim, and jalapeno peppers, but I want to wait to put them in because they're still sort of small. We planted them later. And so I'm just going to leave them inside till they're a little bit bigger. But these were planted on day 1, and they look really nice. So I think that they're all pretty much going to make it. Josh has been working on lettuce. He got some of it done on day 1, not very much. Now there was some that looked like it was going to die inside, and we were just chance putting it in, but it's sort of wilted. I don't even know if you can see it on camera. I don't know that it's going to make it, but it's fine. We'll put some in by seed if that's the case. And then we have the tomatoes that we talked about to shade them. They look nice, and then I put a couple more here. Those look nice. And I'll probably put some more up front, and then the rest of the tomatoes can go somewhere else once we're done over here. So all we have left is more lettuce. There's another tray over there of lettuce. Tomatoes. We still have 3 trays of tomatoes. And then we have a tray mixed of cabbage and eggplants. The cabbage probably should have went out before now. Date-wise, it should have been out now, but temperature-wise, it probably should have been out sooner. So I think it'll still be fine, though. And we're probably going to put that over here somewhere. So let's get started on day 3. So Joshua built this DIY arch trellis out of scrap fence and scrap wood. It doesn't look that best, but it actually is pretty durable. And I don't know what we're going to grow on it yet, but stay tuned to find out. All the cherry tomatoes are in. They're all up here. And then we have most of the Romas down here. Other than there's some over here still in this tray, because we still have some lettuce to go in. And I want to put the tomatoes in front of the lettuce like we talked about a couple times now. So those are what's left. And if there's any left, I'll find room for them over there somewhere. So let's go talk about seeds, what varieties we chose, and what we're growing. So here are the seeds that we're doing. So let's go ahead and just talk about these. So first we have the pumpkin sugar pie. I don't think we've ever grown this before. If we have, we never got a harvest off of them. But they're good for pie making, hence the variety name. So we're going to grow some of those, and then we're going to grow some of what we grew last year. If I remember the variety name, I'll put it at the bottom of the screen, but I don't remember it right now off the top of my head. But here are the seeds that we saved from the harvest last year. Next, let's talk about watermelons. So we have the Jubilee watermelon. I believe those are like they're the long ones, right? The long ones with the lighter looking rind. They have a red flesh. Then we have watermelon sugar baby. I think these are little round ones with a darker rind. Never grown these, even though the seed package I and Joshua may have grown some and sold them as sold seedlings from them. Anything that you see open that I say we haven't grown before, I mean we haven't put it in our garden. Joshua has grown seedlings to sell in our area before. So I think that's what he did. We've never actually grown this variety. The next one is the only watermelon that we've grown, and this is called Orange Glow. And as you can imagine, this does have an orange flesh. They're seeds that we've saved from the harvest. It's a very good watermelon. I actually really enjoyed it. The seeds are a little bit bigger than I was expecting, and it's not quite as sweet, but I'm going to grow it this year because we still really did enjoy it, and it's a great summer treat. Next is cantaloupe. We tried to grow cantaloupe last year, but we didn't really get a harvest from it. I think the heat took a toll on it. This is the Hale's Best Jumbo variety. So we're going to try that again this year. I'm going to try a different spot, one that will stay a little bit cooler. Next are sunflowers. Now, sunflowers are something that we did last year. We did not do this variety of sunflower. We just had the yellow sunflowers. I don't remember what variety they were, but they were just a regular yellow sunflower. But this is a Velvet Queen. It's like has a beautiful sunset color. So we'll do some of these. And I have some like sunflower like sprouting seeds, and I think that's what we grew ours from last year. And so I think I'll plant some of those too with these. So we get some yellow ones and we'll get some of these too. Next is our different types of squashes. This first one is spaghetti squash. Now we have not grown spaghetti squash. These are just seeds that I got from a friend's garden. They gave us some of their spaghetti squash because they had so many. And I collected the seeds. There they are. So those are nice. Can't wait to try growing that this year. This is a winter squash, butternut. I mean, who doesn't like butternut squash, right? We haven't done this either yet. So I'm excited to try that. Now, this one is something that we grow every year. Black Beauty zucchini squash. We just needed more seeds. This is one that we grow every year. And if you guys have been watching our channel, last year we made pineapple zucchini and canned it from our extra zucchini that we got from the garden. And I just have to say that all of the picky eaters in our house love the pineapple zucchini. So definitely something I'm going to be doing again with this year. You all know, if you've been watching, that Jonathan likes to have his own little gardening projects in the garden. So he did the corn last year all on his own, and he's going to do that again this year. He's also in charge of the pumpkin. He likes to grow pumpkins, so he's going to grow both of these varieties. And then the last thing that he likes to grow is okra. Now, as you know, Jonathan grew way too much okra last year. He planted an entire seed packet of okra, and that was just way too much. And that's a Clemson spineless that he did. And we're going to do more of that, but we're only going to do a few plants. And then this red okra, I'm not sure if these seeds are good anymore. They look fine, but they do look a little bit small. And these are also something that I got from a friend's garden. Never planted them, but they gave us some of their red okra, and I collected seeds from them. Now we have some herb seeds. Now I do have a couple of herb transplants that I have in there too that I need to move out, but just for seeds. I'll show you guys the transplants later when we do them. First we have dill. You guys know, if you've been watching, we like to pickle. And I'd like to try doing some other pickling projects this year, like the kids have requested pickled eggs, since we have so many chicken eggs. I don't know if you use dill for that. I'm assuming you do. I haven't looked at any recipes yet, but I'd love to grow our own dill. And you can use the flowers and the seeds and the leaves and everything for seasoning and garnishing. Next is basil. Now, I would have started this inside in January, but we just didn't have any more space to start anything else inside. So I decided that I was just going to sow this outside later, and now is the time to sow this outside by seed. So I'm going to sow some basil outside by seed, some dill outside by seed, and then, like I said, I have a couple of transplants inside that I'll show you when we're ready to do that. Next are cucumbers. Now we always grow this Market More 76. It's a slicing cucumber. Love it. Have never had any problems with it. I've always gotten a great harvest off of these, especially in this heat. I'm really surprised at how well they hold up. So definitely gonna be planting more of these this year. And as you guys know, we love, like I said before, we love to pickle things. And last year I did pickle some of our slicing cucumbers. They turned out great, but I'd love to try a pickling cucumber just to see the difference. So we got this National Pickling Improved seed from Azure Standard. And can't wait to see how it turns out. I'd love to see what kind of harvest I get off of it, how it holds up in the heat, how they compare pickling versus these. Because you can't even pickle these whole because of how big they get so long and big. You can't pickle these whole. So I'd love to try pickling them some whole. Next, I want to talk about beans, specifically green beans. And I want to talk about the difference between bush and pole real quick because I don't have any pole beans here to show you. We just got some. They're supposed to be coming in the next couple days. So we'll still get to plant them in March here. But I wanted to talk about the differences between bush and pole because we have planted both of these. Now, bush, I like it because it matures quicker. The only problem is that it gives you most of its harvest all at once. So once you get that first harvest, they do continue to produce a little bit, but not really as much. Unlike pole beans, while they're mature later, if you keep picking them, you can keep getting a harvest off of them. And that's how much I like the pole beans for that. So I've planted bush beans one year and pole beans another year. And I love both of them for different reasons. So this year what I'm going to do is I'm going to plant bush beans, and I'm going to be planting the bush tender green, and pole beans, which we ordered the seeds for. I like Kentucky Wonder. They give you a great harvest. I mean, I had to be out there every other day at least to harvest beans because there'd be so many on them. And we were eating, as a family of 12, we could eat green beans 2 or 3 times a week. And you imagine how many green beans we got through just off of what we were picking off of like 8 or 10 plants. So I'm going to plant these so that we get a earlier harvest. And I'm also going to plant the pole beans so that we can extend our harvest. So that's why I'm going to plant both this year. So going to be planting some of the bush tender green. Also, I think someone said online that the bush beans produce like a flatter pod. And that when they were trying to sell them, they had trouble selling these versus the pole beans because of that. So if you are going to sell your crops, you might just want to keep that in mind. I don't know how true it is. I don't know why. I guess people don't like flatter pods for some reason, but just something to keep in mind. So if you all aren't familiar with hill planting, you can go ahead and look that up. But pretty much what you do is you start with like 6 seeds in a hole, and you keep 3 plants there throughout the entire growing season. So once they come up, you thin them down to 3 plants, and then you keep them. Now, I've only done this with cucumbers, but you can do it with all like melons and squashes. Okay, so that includes pumpkins. And with the cucumbers, it worked out really, really well. We had great pollination, and it was nice to grow that many in such a small area. So this year, John, like I said, John's in charge of pumpkins. He likes to be in charge of a few crops of his own. And John's going to plant 2 hills, 1 for each variety. I think that'll be enough for our family because we like to make pumpkin pie and stuff, but really we won't use a ton of pumpkins. So put 6 seeds in a hole, John, in that hole right there. He's gonna plant them about 1 inch deep. So he's planting the sugar pie right now in this hole, and then on the other side of this tree here, he's gonna put his other variety. So if you plant like your crawling stuff, like your pumpkins and your melons, different types of squashes around your fruit trees, it'll help keep the weeds down. Now we do mulch around our trees, but this also helps a little bit. Plus it gives us a space where we can plant more things. So he just put 6 seeds in that hole, and he's gonna cover it. And it's gonna rain pretty heavy tomorrow, so I don't think he needs to water it. It won't be a big deal. It'll water in by itself tomorrow when it rains heavy, and if it happens to not rain, we'll come down and water it. So he's gonna leave the mulch pulled away until his plants come up. He's gonna put a plant tag there. And once his plants come up, he'll push the mulch back slowly as they get bigger. And hopefully we'll see some pumpkins this year, right, John?
Yep.
He's excited about this variety since they're so small, little pumpkins. All right, so he's going to do another hill over on the other side of this tree with this other unknown variety, unless I put it up on the screen if I figured out what it was. I'll put it up on the screen. But I do remember that it was also good for pie making. All right, so around this tree, we're going to do the Sugar Baby watermelon. And I was reading that Sugar Baby loves the warm, hot weather. So I'm excited about that. Like I said, we haven't planted that. That packet was open because I think Joshua sold seedlings. So we're really excited about that. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to do hills. Are doing hills for all of our melons and squashes this year because it works so well with the cucumbers. I really just want to do all of them like that. We had such a harvest last year. And so Jonathan put 6 seeds in that hole there. And then he's going to dig another hole over here for more sugar babies. So that'll be a total of 6 plants of sugar baby melons. While we were in the middle of planting seeds, my phone died. So I'm just going to recap what we've done as far as seeds go. So I definitely showed the pumpkins. And I'm pretty sure that I showed that we did 2 hills of sugar baby watermelons. So that'll be a total of 6 plants once they come up and everything. And then we did 2 Jubilee watermelons, hills. So it's a total of 6 plants. And then over here, we have 3 different hills of stuff over here. So we have 2 hills of the Hale's Best Jumbo Cantaloupe, total of 6 plants. And then 1 hill, I think this is it right here. Yeah, that's it. It's Orange Glow watermelons, the one that has the orange flesh. That one we only did 1 hill of because, like we said before, it's not quite as sweet as the red stuff, but we still do like it. So I did 1 hill, which is 3 plants. So that should be plenty of melons for our family, hopefully. I mean, who can get enough melons, right? Next, we have our squashes over here. So we did a hill of butternut squash, so that's 3 plants. A hill of spaghetti squash, which is 3 plants. And then 2 hills of Black Beauty zucchini squash. That's 6 plants because, like I said, we did the pineapple zucchini. I want to make sure that we have enough to do it again. The last thing that we did is behind the lettuce so it can grow up on the fence because I like trellising cucumbers. I just said it, we're the cucumbers. So we did 1, 2, 3, 4 hills of the Market More 76, which is the slicing cucumber. And then 4 hills of the National Pickling Improved cucumber, which obviously is a pickling variety. So that will be a total of 12 plants of each once they come up, which is nice. It's perfect for us, hopefully. We want to have plenty to pickle and to eat fresh. So John just dug the mulch out of here. These are where some of our peppers are. And we're going to do some okra and some sunflowers because I know okra and sunflowers like to grow together. And we're going to plant some green, some of the Clemson spineless, and then some of that red okra. I'm not really sure the variety. I know it has spines though, so I know it's not a spineless variety. And some of those Velvet Queen sunflowers down here. Ready to get started?
Yep.
He said yes. If you can't hear him, he's not wearing a mic. So all we have left as far as transplants go is eggplant. And we have celery up at the house. But we got to fill one of the garden beds up where we put the broccoli and Brussels sprouts. We need to fill there's another garden bed there. And that's where we're going to put the celery. So what I have not taped so far is Joshua planted the cabbage transplants. They all look nice. It's a very overcasty day too. So if you're looking for like the best day to move out transplants, it's going to be on an overcast day. Less sunlight means less stress for your plants when they first go in. And you know those pepper plants he's been working on growing inside the house all winter, he moved those 4 out here into their own little separate area. So we know which ones they are because we want to see how they perform versus the ones that we started in the early spring. And I don't know if I showed this, but Jonathan had a little pumpkin transplant that he put with his hill of seeds that he started over here. Right there. And that's been out here for a couple days, so that's doing pretty well. Not much else is going on other than this blueberry bush is actually putting on leaves. That one's had leaves for a while over there, but the other one has not. And one other thing, the apple trees are putting on leaves. How cute, right? And this one. That's nice, right? It's exciting to see that your trees have life in them. This Asian pear tree too is putting on leaves. It's been putting on flowers for a while, but it's finally putting on leaves. Very pretty. We also planted, we got these, I think I talked about the elderberry cuttings, I don't remember, but we planted those. They're looking very nice. They haven't even lost their leaves. This one over here is a little bit droopy, But remember what I said about planting cuttings, bare root plants. They can lose their leaves that they come with and still be okay. So I think the last things we need to do is we need to plant pole beans, but the seeds that we ordered got a little bit delayed. So I think that's going to have to wait until they come because I don't have seeds. The one thing that I'm not going to show in this video that we're probably going to plant in March is corn. And reason for that being is because we plant a lot of corn and we're doing 2 different fields this year. So we're doing 2 different varieties, and I think I'm just going to do a whole separate video about corn planting, or if I don't, it'll be in our April planting video. Dad's doing these potato towers, which is included in our March planting video. And look, little potato sprout. And I think there was one. Let's see, there was another one too. Yep, right here. Isn't that cute? So he's getting potato sprouts, which is nice. And he's not done yet. He still has 40 more pounds of potatoes to plant. So this was, I think this was a total of 50 pounds of potatoes. And then he has another 40 he wants to plant yet. It's a lot of hard work. It took a lot of time and a lot of hands. And then in the process of that, our cow had a baby. So she had, if we're looking at the timeline here, she had a baby 2 days ago. So we're still working though. Still working. I am not in charge of the herb garden. Bailey is. So I'm just going to show you what she has or will be planting in March. So the first thing was the tansy. Those are the transplants I was talking about. Then we got some basil seeds out. I talked about those. They're right there. She just needs to tag them. And the dill's right there. That just has to be tagged too. And then for the rest of the stuff that will be planted in March, we have some German chamomile and some calendula starts there. These we got from Azure Standard. They usually have pretty high quality starts. We start all our perennials and our herb from their starts. So we did get those calendula starts, not knowing that there are little calendula babies. I'm pretty sure these are calendula babies all over where the calendula was last year. So it must have seeded. I guess we're going to have a lot of calendula this year. To the trellis that I showed you earlier that Joshua built out of scrap wood and fencing. It's really pretty now. I'll show you the whole thing in a minute. But he's pulling back the mulch because our pole beans came. They came late last week, so now we're going to put them in the ground. But I'm excited because we've never done beans on an arch trellis like this. We've only done them on like 4-foot high trellises, and it makes them a little bit hard to harvest. So I'm excited to see how the harvest turns out with these. And then the last thing we have to do is celery, which I'm not sure we're going to get to today. We'll have to see. All right, y'all, so the last thing is done, the celery. Most of it looks pretty good. We had to plant some of it in clumps like this because they didn't want to come apart. But I'll thin them out once I see which ones are going to make it and which ones don't. That one looks very good. If y'all have not seen our January and February planting videos, I will leave them linked at the end of this video so you can watch them, because that is all we have planted this year so far. Anything else that you see harvest from was a perennial that was planted before. If you all enjoyed this video, make sure you like and you share it out. It means a lot to us. And if you have any thoughts or questions, make sure to drop them in the comments below. Also, if you guys want to stay up to date on what we harvest, which we've already started doing, what more we plant, I think we have corn and sweet potato coming up very soon at least. Make sure you guys are subscribed and turn on those notifications so you know what we post when we post it. See you soon.